Nigeria, our Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, the largest black nation on the planet, with huge diversities of peoples, great reserves of mineral deposits all around, rivers and natural water resources in abundance. Above all, it is human resource or human capital. It is a repository of some of the best professionals and brains. Multi-religious and heterocultural, there is a huge potential in its 216 plus million peoples if there is peace and harmony. Alas, Nigeria is in the grip of what Nigeria Watch describes as lethal violence, cultism, header farmer grazing clashes, ritual killings, kidnapping, banditry, unknown gunmen. You can just go on and on and on and on. Things that before now we thought were very far away from our society. We were covered, as it were. But that's where we found ourselves. However, those of her children who knew her energy, dynamism, and positive outlook love her so much, they still believe in Nigeria. I do myself, that a concerned group amongst many is thinking rebuild Nigeria. Bridges caught up with this group of deeply patriotic Nigerians and synced. Bridges, like you know, is working for a more sustainable society where we all can, through dialogue, recapture the glory of our nation, where anarchy is not permitted, where Nigeria, the nation, its people matter. Welcome to these impressive line of patriots on Bridges today. I'm Mujima Conchola, still working for a sustainable society, and welcome to this very, very special edition of Bridges. And with me today, as diverse as we are, that's what we try to capture for those who will be speaking with us, is Pastor Itua Igodalo. Pastor Itua Igodalo is a pastor, an accountant, a thinker, and a social reformer, and a writer. Well, he got some of his education here in Nigeria, and the very prestigious King's College, Lagos, the International School, University of Ibadan. They used to say Ibadan and others, but we'll contest that again with you, Pastor, one of these days. So, having trained all over the world, so to speak, also an former Harvard Business School. A whole lot of, listen, I have a long list of what he has done as a Nigerian. And I must say, Pastor, I'm very proud that you're a Nigerian more than anything else, and that you're leading this wonderful initiative. Welcome on Bridges. From faraway America, and ensuring that she stays awake to ensure that together we'll build Nigeria, because that's the premise on which we're going to speak today, is Jumoke Akintaylor, who is our Executive Director of Rebuild Nigeria Initiative. She's a long-time community lead and a writer herself, strong advocate for diaspora engagement and nation building, and doing so many other things. But more than anything else, identifying that she's a Nigerian and a great Nigerian woman. Jumoke, you're welcome on Bridges. And she's in America. I'm sure that you'll go to bed after this. Now, so seriously, and sitting with me is my sister. I call her my lone sister in the battle. Is Fatima Akilu. She's the Executive Director, NAME Foundation, organization that works in conflict across northern Nigeria and the Lake Chad Basin. And I'm sure that is the hub where you have most of the disturbances that I spoke to earlier. So that's who we are today on Bridges, and stay tuned. You have to be part of this. First, I'm going to start with you, Pastor, because he's a lone man here. So let's start with him. Yes. So he's our shepherd for today. Now, Pastor, why Rebuild Nigeria Initiative? Why do you think it's important now? Or is that what we need to do, getting away from where we found ourselves? Over to you, Pastor.
Much, Mrs. Makonjola, for having us on this very, very wonderful program. We're grateful for your work and all the effort you are putting towards putting together a great nation. Rebuild Nigeria. because we do need to rebuild Nigeria. You know where we are. You have recited or quoted some of the things that were going wrong. High level of insecurity, challenges with education, infrastructure, power. We came together and we're having lunch on the 13th of May, a global launch, to see how we can rebuild Nigeria through dialogue, through the search for peace, through discussion, through engagement with as many people as possible who are interested in Nigeria, through policy formulation, and through information and letting people know exactly what is going on in Nigeria and seeing how we can advise government, both incoming government and present government, and citizenry as to what we need to do to make sure we all have a better Nigeria. And it's consisting of Nigerians, both in Nigeria, in the diaspora, very, very important, because we're very, very keen to see what we can do. And also friends of Nigeria, people we call friends of Nigeria, non-Nigerians that are interested in Nigeria, have a stake in Nigeria, being part of Nigeria, and want Nigeria really to be as great as it should be. So we expect to have a series of engagements, a series of dialogues, a series of position papers, advisory notes, and a series of activities that we need to do to bring this nation together.
I was just going to ask quickly before I go to Jumoke that are you hoping to cascade this dialogue to the grassroots? Because we understand when we speak to ourselves, but it's not just only about us. It's also about every Nigerian in every and at every level.
It's very, very important because likely most of the time we speak over the top of the people at the grassroots. And politically and socially, the grassroots is the backbone of Nigeria. So we're going to engage our grassroots people. We're going to inform them at various levels, those educated and those not sufficiently educated, and even those who are not educated at all.
Right. Bridges will be tracking that, and we promise that we'll be part of it. Now I'll go over to the US, and Jumoke is waiting. Now, the question is, what is different that Rebuild Nigeria initiative is going to bring to the table? What is it that we haven't spoken to that is new, is fresh, is innovative, is captivating? Every one of us would want to fall in line with it. What are your thoughts?
I think in addition to what Pastor has said, it's different because we're more of a movement and we're refusing to be spectators in good governance and active participants. So as you mentioned, I'm away. Fatima is in Abuja, Pastor is in Lagos. And so it's a group of us that just came together and said, you know what? We have to do something. This is not the time to point fingers at government, but this is the time for us to take individual responsibility and how we can contribute to nation building. So that's what Rebuild Nigeria is it's about, like everyday Nigerians really getting up to say, this is my role, this is what I can do towards the good of Nigeria. We can't keep pointing fingers at government or the leadership. We have that responsibility, and that's part of what we're trying to drive.
I'd just like to quote you. In 2006, I gathered you coined the phrase, "I am Nigeria. The change begins with me." So you're bringing to the table is premised on this, right?
Yes. As an individual, and that phrase came out from, we were having a conversation and everyone again was pointing at the government, pointing at everything that is wrong. And at that point, I said, we all have individual responsibility towards this. As a Nigerian, no one has the autonomy on leadership. We all have that responsibility, moral and social responsibility towards contributing to Nigeria. And how do you effect that change? It starts with you. It starts with what you can do within your own sphere of influence as an individual citizen. And if you look at the history of Nigeria, people got up because they were tired. If you look at the fathers of independence, they stood for Nigeria. And that's that's part of the message that we're promoting, that stand for Nigeria, don't give up on Nigeria. I'm here in the US, we're reminded that your citizenship outside your birth country is a privilege. that can be withdrawn at any time. It's not, that's the truth of the matter. No matter how long you've been a US citizen, if at some point someone or wherever you are and someone decides there's a law that is changed, or God forbid you commit some kind of crime, that is withdrawn. But my birthright cannot be withdrawn from my country of birth.
Yes, home is home, right? Wherever you are, no matter the comfort, no matter what you see there, is still home that you long to come to. Thank you, Jumoke, for that contribution. I'll now go to Fatima Akilu, who is sitting here with me on set. Now, Fatima, you've worked in conflicts across northern Nigeria, what we are witnessing today, that we never thought, I never thought this would come. So here we are. What have you seen on the field, and how can the values on which RNI is working can shift the paradigm from where we are now?
Well, I think the reason that I joined RNI, and I'm proud to be a member of RNI, is precisely because of the things that I've seen. I work across practically all of northern Nigeria and the Lake Chad. And these are places that 10 years ago, even 7 years ago, and in some cases 5 years ago, that there was no conflict. So what went wrong, and why did we not foresee that this could happen? These things did not happen in a vacuum. We live in areas where there is no government presence. Youth are highly marginalized. Access to education is very limited for the vast majority of our population. Access to health, access to even the ability to self-actualize, to have a pathway to development. These are all things that are shut from people. So I think that we cannot continue like this. My own, why RNI is different, in my opinion, is because it brings together a diverse group, and we're represented from practically almost every part of Nigeria. But beyond that, we bring a whole load of different capabilities. For example, one of the things that we want to do, a lot of people are doing dialogue. So we're not unique in trying to do dialogue at the grassroots, but I think we're approaching it in a different way. We're not just doing dialogue for dialogue's sake. It's all hinged around research. So we're also looking at the causes of these conflicts, and the dialogues that we're proposing are not only inter but intra-group dialogue. So I think within groups there's also conflict, which we're trying to understand, but across groups there's conflict. We feel that dialogue is only one of the activities of RNI, but it's a central pillar. We feel that if we can really talk to ourselves and not talk to ourselves from the top. I work at the grassroots, so I'm in the villages.
Too. I'm in the villages myself.
Absolutely. So I listen to people, and we in RNI we also want to listen, not to hear, but to listen to understand. Because a lot of time people just listen to hear. But when we understand collectively, we can come up with a pathway. So I think that's part of the things that we're trying to do.
Yeah, and that excites me. Talking to each other and being able to have a secured pathway that can engender the Nigeria that we want. Now, one thing that, each time we speak to people is that, we don't trust the government. And so we, like Jumoke said, we hinge everything on government. Is not, and other people's thoughts are that it's not about government alone. Our own responsibility. Pastor, I'll come back to you again, because you are there in the private world in terms of private business, and also, having the grace to shepherd people. Now, how are we going to bring this together? Because what we have and what people have said we have is a systems failure, not just in terms of what, government brings to the table, but what we are as people do. I would just like your thoughts on this going forward, because we need to get this right as a foundation, so that our RNI initiatives can work. Pastor, over to you.
One of the biggest challenges of Nigeria that people sometimes disregard is the level of lack of information and understanding and education of the average Nigerian. And until you can uplift people generally in terms of their capacity to think, you'll almost be knocking your head against a brick wall. Okay, so nations that have made progress on the back of improved and sustainable and stronger knowledge and information of the people on the average. That's what China had to do. That's what Japan did. That's what Singapore did. And that's what India is trying to do. And of course, Rwanda, nearer home in Africa. And what has happened over time is a systematic and weaponized illiteracy of the people. So what we're going to be trying to do is to, through our engagement, further broaden the minds of the people and let them understand what the situation is, what they need to do, and how they can lift themselves up and lift Nigeria up. Aside from that, a better informed people generally make better leaders in the long run. So a leader is good when he has the appropriate knowledge, the necessary background, the necessary training and information, and the appropriate attitude to governance. Even in the Bible, and I quote from the Bible from time to time, a lot of people were aspiring to leadership among the disciples of Jesus Christ. And Jesus says you aspire to leadership because you don't understand the fundamentals of leadership. Leadership is not about being served, it's about serving and being a servant. If you understand that leadership is about being a servant, then you would have a different attitude towards that aspiration. In Sweden, for example, if you're a member of the house, your salary is very small, you are not accommodated except you come from outside the capital, you are not given a motor vehicle, you don't have any personal staff, you are very frugal with your money and with government money, and wherever you are accommodated, you are not allowed to receive visitors except you pay for them in that accommodation. So anyone who wants to go into the parliament in Sweden is going to serve.
And what I really, really like and would like to emphasize is that leadership is service. And I wish we could come back to you to give the Sweden example. We want that on, I think, is something that should resonate in us, especially as we look forward to 2023. I'll come back to you, Jumoke. Leadership is service. Now, how do we bring that home across board? Not just in terms of people who are in positions of authority, but then again, as Jumoke, as Moji, as Fati, as pastor.
It starts within your own sphere of influence. What are you doing in your home? What are you doing in your neighborhood? Leadership is not necessarily that you are in government. You're in leadership in any role that you're in. You're the leader of your home, in your community. And you can, as Pastor was saying, it's service. How do you serve your community to make it better? What can you do? We've heard so many stories of different people that have just gotten up because there was a need in their community. And they saw that need and they served that need. And that's part of what it is. That's part of what leadership is. Identifying the needs to make your community, to make the world. We're all called to serve, even whatever religion you are in. That's part of the responsibility you have. Your gifts are for service, is to impact the world, to make it a better place. So that's part of what we want to just harness and bring up to people's consciousness.
Yes, Fati, and you have been at the troubled areas, met the troubled people. And how do you say to a traumatized man that leadership is service?
Well, it's a good question. I think, like Jumoke says, leadership really is about character. It's about who you are. It's about humility. I think sometimes we mistake leadership for position. But leadership is not position. It's an attitude. It's about who you are as a person. And even in the most traumatized communities, I have seen leadership. I've seen women who helping other women give birth because they have no access to hospitals. I've seen people organize and share food within communities. These are people who have nothing. So I don't really think about leadership as in office, as a position. I think it's more about a perspective, how you view the world, what you want to add to the world. and it's about humility, the ability to see a problem and want to solve it. So that's, I think, how I see leadership.
Yes, as our final word before we close this chapter of the discussion, I do pray technology will help us. Pastor, what are your final thoughts? Because we are in a place where Nigerians believe that government must do everything. And so the dependency on governance is huge. How do we start, rebirthing the thought to see that leadership is service? Your final word, sir.
Well, it's a series of conversations and dialogues and bringing about examples to people and proving to people that it can be done. What the missing piece, or what has been missing in Nigeria, is a set of people who are ready to take responsibility instead of pointing fingers at the government or at environment or at history. And this is what RNI wants to do that may be a little bit different. We want to take responsibility. We want to partner with government where possible. We want to go ahead of government where necessary. And we want to chastise government or criticize them where appropriate. Okay, so it's a full cycle. For no person or the other, we just want a good environment and a good governance and a good place for Nigeria and for Nigerians. So we are going to take responsibility. We are going to go out there, speak to people, engage them, dialogue with them, where necessary, support them, where necessary, encourage them, where necessary, invest in them, and where appropriate, empower them so that they can see better Nigeria and better themselves and see hope. We're hoping that if we spread this light and we light these candles, if more people will join us to light more candles, and eventually the whole place would have light, and Nigeria would begin to make progress, and people will begin to have better demands of their leaders and better leadership selection processes, and insist on doing things the appropriate way. It might be a long journey, but we're prepared to start that journey and to keep working with it, working at it, working on it until it works. And that's really what builds.
Keeping on. Jumoke?
For me, I would say the unity, really unifying as Nigerians, coming together, knowing that this is not a solo journey. This is not something that one particular group can do alone. There is that need for us to collaborate, to partner. There is room for everyone to get together. And that's part of what we're also promoting. We have sister organizations. We're reaching out to as many like-minded Nigerians that are committed to this beautiful country called Nigeria. And that's part of our message. It's partnership, it's collaboration, it's coming together and, starting this movement for change.
Starting the movement for change. I like that. Yes.
Okay, let me end where we began with Jumoke's slogan, change begins with me. I truly believe that RNI is looking to develop a new kind of citizenry where we actually look at ourselves and say, well, yes, we can be the change. Government cannot do it alone. We have to take responsibility. We have to also, we're always looking to the type of government we want. But have we looked at the type of citizens we want?
I think that's very important, and that's where a lot of times we lose it. The kind of citizens we want, the kind of followership that we want, the kind of people that we want. Growing up for me, I have lived, well, in every part of Nigeria, so to speak. My father worked with the railways. It didn't matter where you came from. What mattered was that railway family, that big family that brought everyone together, that we danced Ojuju, Calabar at Christmas. We ate the salami together. And we also, especially now that it's Ramadan, we wait for 6 o'clock when we can all have the kunu and the kosei together. And I know that in Lagos, same thing happened. So that's the uniqueness of Nigerian, and that's the bridge we have attempted to build today. I want to thank you for watching and knowing that you also can be part of the Rebuild Nigeria initiative. Is a collective responsibility. So let's build a better world in Nigeria, for Nigerians, by Nigerians. We'll be back again same time next week. Thanks for watching. Pastor, thank you for pastoring us. Jumoke, go have your beauty sleep now and keep on keeping. And for you, Fati, we're together all the time. So see you. And when RNI comes to Abuja, be part of it. We'll be back again on Bridges, same time next week.